What's up, everybody? It's us again, and it's time to lean in. We are here for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. We just finished talking about the housewife and the hustler, the hustle and the housewife, the special about Erika Jayne's legal battles with her husband, Tom Girardi, or whatever. But now we're going to talk about episode 5 and 6. We were not here last week, child. We both was, well, I was visiting Dallas, punking, and he lives in Dallas. As I said, we met for the first time, had a great time. But let's just get into it because we don't have a lot to talk about, but we have some things to talk about as we're covering two episodes, as I said, 5 and 6. In this episode, obviously, Kyle is hosting an election party, election day. They're covering it. And one thing I do want to say, I found it very funny that, not funny, but Garcelle said, I ain't coming, honey. She decided to stay at home, and later on, I think she talked about why something about her son. But girl, she really was just like, "Girl, I want to be at home with my people." Not, and I'm
Yep.
just saying, I
Yep.
feel like that's what
Yep.
it was. But hey, no, I love that. Go ahead, Garcelle. I found it interesting that Kyle was like, she doesn't really like talking about politics. I guess to be safe than sorry, because you have to be careful in this day and age. But at this event, of course, everyone's kind of talking about the Crystal and Sutton thing that happened with her walking in. And of course, this is where Crystal lets Dorit know about it. And do you feel like she should have said something? Because I feel like did say that she wasn't going to say nothing.
Crystal has been carrying this incident
Yes,
it's
yes,
a
I agree.
lot. Like she knocked and she came in. She was probably surprised. Yeah, I get it. You were embarrassed, but Sutton's like, "Here's your coat." She it literally the whole thing lasted 5 seconds.
Yeah,
Sutton made a little joke. Sorry for barging in. I don't know what's going on in here. I'm leaving. Girl,
yeah,
that's fucking it. Like my God, you are dragging this on. But the way that she made it sound like even when she was talking that prior episode was talking to Sutton, she made it sound like no big deal. We're good. Not an issue. And then it was this horrific moment when now she's retelling the story that she felt violated and she made it sound like she threw herself to the ground and covered her bare breast
it's a
because she
lot.
was so mortified. I'm like, girl, it lasted 5 seconds. I get it, you're embarrassed, but like she immediately gave your coat and fucking left. Like she didn't stand there and have a conversation with you. She didn't comment on your body. She left.
Yeah,
Like
it's a lot.
Sutton's a lot of
It's
things.
it's too
You're
much.
dragging.
And this goes to like what we talked about. I think when Chase was here, we said that like at one moment I was like, oh yeah, she's a tough girl. But then when that happened, when the incident happened, I'm like, no, you're not that tough. And like I said, I think I've seen people say I said this too. I feel like there's some kind of trauma related to it.
Mm.
Now she's definitely still dragging it. I'm not being insensitive to whatever she went through that made her feel this way. Maybe because we find out that she's bulimic. So maybe it's something. Maybe she has like some body positive issues, or maybe there's something going on there, or maybe something happened in the past. But at the same time, the issue is that she's trying to make it seem like Sutton was like had some kind of like malintent, and she really didn't. She should have waited to go in the damn bathroom. I agree, but she did. She went in and she said, "Oh, I know what you're doing, blah blah," and that was that on there. But now she's making this issue. They already have an issue, and it's like so much bigger now. Did you see that the husband was talking about it too? And what's his name said that
Yes.
he wouldn't invite PK on the
Yeah.
board
I
trip.
was like, that's some nice nasty shade, whatever. Like
It
you
was
tolerate
definitely
somebody
nice.
and maybe you're friends, but your friend's kind of getting on your fucking nerves. You have to throw just a little dig to
It
like
was
put it in
like
check.
he was like, well, I wouldn't. He said, well, I wouldn't go in the bathroom with
I
you.
would
I
invite
wouldn't
you
invite
anyway.
you on a boys trip. I was like, are the men finna argue? But PK Chad,
He's
he ain't
oblivious. He don't know. He
right.
don't know. He don't care.
But the biggest little spat here was Kyle and Dorit. So they always go back and forth. And I'm just gonna say, Kyle is jealous of Dorit.
Oh,
I
very,
feel like
very.
ever since last year, although Dorit was late, when she was talking about her little fitness outfit, her fitness pictures, and even at the event how she was talking about, and they may have asked her, but she's talking about Dorit's election party outfit and how it wasn't
Hmm.
this. There's just something that Kyle just can't stand about Dorit. She can say they're sisters, but it's just always there's always something she has to nitpick with her about. And in this moment, she felt like Dorit was yelling at her, which rightfully so because she interrupted her in conversation. Now, to her defense, she's saying that she's long-winded, she talks too much. And then Dorit is saying that, don't interrupt me, you do it all the time. I mean, there are receipts, she does.
Hmm.
And so I'm team Dorit here just because, and I think Dorit handled this scene so well from the moment of saying, like, we're
Oh yeah.
good to leaving. I think she really handled Kyle and made Kyle look so stupid because Kyle wanted to not necessarily argue, but whatever she went to get, she ain't get it. Because Dorit was like,
Yep.
no. But go ahead.
I think Kyle is the tardiest bitch ever. Like, I cannot stand her. I hate
I'll be tired of
Kyle.
fighting.
I think I think Kyle at this point, she's the OG. She's been there
Mm-hmm.
for 10 seasons. She feels like she's owed a certain level of respect. She's
Mm-hmm.
owed something. Kyle over the years has proven that she cannot stand when somebody else gets a little bit of shine.
Mm-hmm.
And Dorit, the past 2 seasons has kind of been that girl. People are starting to see her as this fashionista. People are reblogging her. The blogs are talking about her. Like her and Erica are like the girls, the fashion girls. Nobody sees it for Kyle at all. Garcelle is the first Black cast member, and she's been getting some stuff. Even
Mm-hmm.
Renna last season, Renna and Denise got shine because of their spat. Sutton was the newbie that became a new cast member, and people loved her. Girl, Kyle has one is way past her expiration date, and I think she understands that, and she knows that. And it's almost embarrassing to see a 50-year-old woman continually find things to be upset about. One, who cares if Dorit was long-winded in that conversation, Kyle? You were not in it at all.
Right.
They were not even just you were not part of the conversation. So to insert yourself and your excuse is you're long-winded, well, girl, fuck you. Like, if I was Dorit, I would have said, girl, fuck you. And the
Well,
fact
she
that
kind of
Kyle
did.
escalated it. Well, no, Kyle said that. Kyle,
Well, no, no,
well,
no.
she said that the
What
last
I'm
thing.
saying,
Last year, she said, fuck you,
by her like saying we're
Dorit.
good and she's done. I'm talking about not literally because they did show a flashback,
Yeah,
and it's like I'm like, damn, she does talk to Dorit crazy, and I think the
real
issue
crazy.
that Dorit had was that she was just like, if you do it again, we're not friends, and
Yeah,
then Dorit's like, and I understand that because I'm like, sometimes
absolutely.
when it comes to friendships, like I don't like a one sided person, and I get
Hmm.
like we're all different, but I felt Dorit when she said that because she's basically saying like you've done so much worse to me and I'm still here. And
Yeah,
I that's me in life as well. Like I feel like when people like not saying I should endure anything, but and sometimes some things like my best friend always told me, the one advice I took from him, pick your battles. Okay, so everything is not meant to be so extreme, And so I think that's what she was saying. Like, girl, like you've done this to me, and then you gonna get mad because I basically you cut me off and I yelled at you and say we're not gonna be friends. No, don't come like don't threaten me. I think it's what she was
yeah.
saying, and it was
Well,
definitely
I
a
think
threat.
Dorit at this point, Dorit's tired. Like you could
Oh,
say it
she's
all
definitely
over her
tired.
face. Girl, she was unavailable, uninterested for that whole conversation. She
Yeah,
wanted it to be over. I think Dorit, and I mean, these women know each other off camera, and I think Dorit knows when Kyle's looking for a moment on
yeah,
camera, and that's exactly what this is. So, girl, have your moment. Okay, we're done. I gotta go.
yeah.
Bye. The worst thing you could do to Kyle Richards is get up and not engage with her.
And that's what
And
she
you
did.
saw that.
And
You
she
saw
was
that
like, "So
all
you're just
over her
gonna walk
face.
away?" I'm like,
Am,
"Yeah, girl, I'm already gone."
am, yeah. I have nothing
Yeah,
more to say to you.
yeah. So
I'm Team Dorit the whole way on that. I'm team
I am
one.
too.
You know I'm long winded. I'm very long winded. I I ramble. So don't do that. So I get it. I understand.
I don't. I mean, her being long with. I mean, that's fine. Like whatever. But cutting somebody off is a pet peeve of mine. Like, don't cut me off. Like, if you want to get in the conversation, then you find a little loophole and you slide in. You don't just blatantly cut somebody off. There's a way to answer the conversation or a way to get your point across. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what. Oh, you froze, girl. That's what I feel should happen. So, so speaking of Kyle, in the last scene at Sutton's Parisian events, which I thought was a cute idea, but I don't like anybody gave me Parisian. But Kyle in this house and comparing the house and not wanting to open the door at the house she lived in. It's just too much. It's just like Kyle, girl, shut up. I feel like Kyle
Shut up.
knows that we are like she's not I don't think Kyle is boring, but she's not interesting in these days. in this current drama. And so it's just kind of like she just kind of finds ways to, and I guess she's doing a good job because we talking about her, right? So we got to be doing something right. We're talking about her. We ain't skipping over like we do Cynthia.
Don't do that. Don't do my girl. Don't do my girl
Yeah.
50 Cent.
Yes, but so just the house and the comparison, like, are you over there too? I think it's kind of much.
I'm over her again. She's looking for a moment. Kyle is not funny, and she tries to. She was never the kooky sister. That's Kim. She's
I
not the
really
witty
agree.
sister. That's Kathy. Kyle's just the sister who fucking cries a lot and has issues with every single friend at some point or another. Like, I'm so ready for her to be done. Andy Cohen, if you're watching this, can we get rid of her already? Like, I'm so done with her. She's boring. No, you may not say it. I'm saying it. She's boring. She
No,
has
no, no.
nothing going
Hey,
on.
listen, I don't have my hand
She
in the
has nothing
casting
going
pot.
on.
Hey, what did you
She
say?
has nothing
Get rid of
going
her
on.
right away, honey.
I'm so over her. I've been over
But I
her.
do want to say, Sutton really, she hasn't really learned how to host a Real Housewives of Beverly Hills event yet. You can tell that she is struggling in that area because she was like, she wasn't getting frustrated, but she was definitely like with her little assistant guy, like,
Yeah.
go be at the door and go, like, make sure this is out. I was like, oh, girl, like, she'll get it next season. I don't think
She
she's ever
gets,
hosted
I
anything,
love she
has
gets
she?
worked up.
She does
No,
get
she
worked
just
up.
gets so worked up. And that has to suck your first season hosting stuff in quarantine. So it's not a real
Right,
party.
right.
So, like, what do you do? Like, do you go all out and it's
Yeah.
just you and 8 people? Like, what's going on here? God
I
bless her.
mean,
She
if
gets so
she's
flustered.
that's true. Yeah, that's very true. So while Erica's not there, the girls are talking. This is kind of funny to me. I knew exactly what she was saying. While Erica wasn't there,
Yes.
and Garcia was like, "Shouldn't she wait?" That's a true.
I
That
said
is a
Garcelle.
true black woman. Let me tell you something. That is a real black woman thing. Cause I mean, I'm not something about any other race, but I just feel like the black in me would be like, you know what, maybe I should wait. You know, he gets close to. But I like how Sutton was just like, people live to their 100. And if you watch the Never Before Seen clip, apparently, you see that? You see that part where Sutton talks about
I haven't.
that. So
I
when
d-
I was about to watch the new episode 6, we're gonna talk about. They have like a Never Before Seen every week, and so Sutton revealed that her previous husband divorced her on her birthday and served her on her birthday. Yeah, so and basically, yeah. So she was just talking about how I guess how her previous divorce went. But moving into episode 6, this dramatic ass entrance, how
the
she
way she
boom.
closed the door.
I live for it. I was like, I'm gonna start walking to the house like this. Boom.
Boom.
It was like she was just like,
I
I'm
love
here,
it.
baby.
I love it.
Um, and she had a smirk too, but she gets there, and this is where they kind of talk about Dorit being long winded. Garcelle says Dorit is long winded, and I'm just like, oh shit, like, oh my goodness. But the gag of it all was when they were talking about her cars, and Erica's like, oh, he's got a new car. I'm like, what you get? He's like, a Range Rover. And the girls is like, I feel like the producers may have made that more shady than what it was. First of all,
Yeah.
A Range
Yeah.
Rover is a very nice car, but I think compared to this level of money that these girls have, a Range Rover is probably at the lower end because
Yeah. Well,
I could go get a
last
Range.
episode
Yeah,
we saw Sutton was taking Garcelle to go
yeah,
shop for what,
yeah,
Maseratis, and
yeah.
just test drive a Maserati. So,
Right.
but Garcelle's little comment about her being long-winded, Dorit took that in stride.
Yeah.
That Dorit herself, she knows what's going on, and Erica, this whole thing, Erica is not, like you said, she's not a dumb woman.
No,
Like
she's
this
not.
whole every single interaction is let me control the damage before the damage happens. And so her trying to be down to
Well,
earth of, oh, I'm
they're all
downsizing, I'm doing
scared.
this.
But I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
they're all kind of scared because even like I had this down that Lisa was like kind of pussyfooting with her, trying to sleep stuff
Mm-hmm.
out. She wasn't like that with Denise. She told Denise to
At
own it and
all.
walk in. And I understand this is a
At
marriage,
all.
so it's a little different. But I just feel like like you wasn't like that last year. Of all people, Lisa would definitely be the one, but she's kind of quiet. Maybe the Denise thing has like got her a little shook because she don't want Garcelle to get on her ass again. But she definitely, so finally Erica does talk about it. She kind of admits to she's been kind of planning it, to where she
Mm-hmm.
was covering her tracks. And I'm like, well, girl, you cover your tracks. Are you saying that you kind of been preparing for this shit to come out? Because then that's kind of making you look a little guilty. But I just feel like she's playing. He was cold and I didn't have a voice,
Yeah.
and he felt like that money was keeping me. I don't know. I'm just like, Erika, you've been on this show for a while. You've loved this man. I'm not saying that would change. And I know people in relationships. You never know what's going on the inside. But
Yeah.
these are things that I feel like she could have that would have been good to be on the show in the past, to where she could have worked through them with her husband. So like how we see, for example, all these other cats like Scott and Contessa, people on these shows like Housewives, all these shows on Bravo, they go through patches with their marriage. It's not always cheating. It's not always divorce. Sometimes it's just like, take Candy and Todd. They arguing over business and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel
Yeah.
like if this was really happening, this really wasn't planned, like we would have heard something about how he was so like treating her like such a trophy wife, cause she didn't have no
Yeah.
problem with it. That's me.
Well, and yeah, I mean, it's obvious. Erica, I mean, we've talked about this, and Erica's big critique is when she first came on the first two seasons, people loved her because she was that bitch and she was
Yeah,
aloof and nothing bothered her. And then to sustain a kind of fan base like that, at some point you have to realize like that this woman really doesn't talk about anything. Like
she doesn't.
absolutely nothing. You don't know anything that's going
You
on in
don't.
her life. It's very much, oh, this is Tom. Tom makes one appearance a season and he
I
stays
don't
for
know
five
how she
minutes
was
and
able to
up and
stay on the
leaves.
show. I don't get it.
Because she's fabulous. That's it.
But
She
that
has little
never that
quippy
would
one
never
liners.
work on another franchise. Like we
Yeah,
have seen that man like one or two times. I
a
feel like
couple of
I've
times,
seen the most she's talked about is her son being a police officer or something like that. Remember
and that
when
was
she went off
random.
on Eileen, what's her name, on a boat? Um,
Queen Eileen, Queen Eileen.
yes,
Address her.
girl.
Address her correctly.
Yes, honey, you beast.
You.
But
It's
yes, I
I.
just feel like it's just hearing this now. It's like, why wouldn't you talk about this sooner? Because
Yeah.
honestly, Erica has not brought much of anything to this show other than being the first like it fashion girl and her $20 million career
Yeah.
that she was working on. So yeah, she was that girl before Dorit, but when you actually look back, other than giving you some kind of look of costume and being beat, she really brought nothing. She could have been a friend of the show and been okay.
Very much.
Cause
Very
her,
much
cause her
so.
life, she never opens about her life. This is the most we've ever seen her talk about her life in just two
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah. And I think again, it's that image control. I think she understands. Maybe yeah, he said those things at dinner about, hey, if you can afford her, you can have her. Yeah,
Yeah,
that probably bothered her. But girl, he was affording you. So you didn't mind it so much. I get communication is out and
right.
forward, but how much were y'all really communicating with that man being 85 years old and you being 45, 50? Like
I
how
was
much of that was really going on? Again, I don't know, but it's like while the checks were coming in, you were okay with what was going on. And if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative. But now all of a sudden you're trying to play like I am. He turned cold, and now he's completely
yeah,
turned against me. And I,
right.
I don't know who my husband is anymore. It's like, well, girl,
Exactly. I'm like, girl,
girl, what's
your
going
husband is
on?
the same 80-some-year-old man that he was
You married.
as when you was 40 and he was 70, and as when you was
Yeah.
30 he was 60. So girl, it's the same old man.
I mean, I will give it to her. She's been married than a lot of these girls on a lot of franchises, a lot
Yeah.
longer, 20 plus years. Good for you. But I will say that I'm enjoying her letting her guard down a little bit, no matter how whether it's calculated or not, how much of it is real, how much of it is calculated. That little comment she made about taking the CBD oil, that was fucking hilarious for me. I
Yeah.
loved that shit.
Well, I would
I
take
loved
CBD
that.
oil too if I was living in the house, going from their house to the little tiny house she was living in.
I'm gonna need it.
So
I'm gonna need it,
now I'm gonna
bitch.
say this: first of all, that the house is very small. I do think that's part of her damage control. I think she knows that she
Oh yeah,
has to make it look like she don't have much of nothing, because
yeah,
they will come after her ass. So instead of her leaving the show and running from it, she's saying, "Let me get this little small little 3 bedroom house.
yeah,
Let me show you the hallways, and they about this
yeah,
small. Let me show you all my fabulous clothes in this little smallest room."
yeah.
It's given there. Like I get
It's
what
given.
she's doing. Um, but in LA, I'm sure that house is still worth a lot of money. I don't know where she
Oh
is,
yeah,
but
for sure.
we're in LA and the houses ain't cheap. So But
Yeah.
compared to what she was living in, that's a tiny, tiny box.
I mean, it was gorgeous to me, but they made it seem like she was looking at her clothes and just like, I have to
Yeah,
sell this and this. I don't
yeah.
have room for it. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, girl.
I don't. Right? Did she had? She did. I like how
Oh, girl.
the guy, the creative director, he was. Her friend was just like, oh yeah. She was like, yeah. I don't even have a kitchen table yet. So I'm waiting on the rug, and it's gonna be like this. And he was just like, oh yeah, I love it. I'm like, no,
I
you
love it.
don't.
No, you
You don't
don't.
love it. No,
No,
you
you
don't.
don't.
That it wasn't. So I didn't like the decor in her last house. I thought it was very old and like it wasn't very modern.
It was
Well,
odd. Yeah, it was odd. It didn't fit her.
it fit
None of that was
him.
her.
It fit him
Yeah.
like he had got some antiques from his great grandfolks, and he just kind of
Or
cooked
he
them
stole
up.
them.
He stole them. Oh, Lord Jesus, I don't want to talk about that. I ain't trying to get a lawsuit. But what I'm trying to say is, I just feel like no, like she got this house. She putting that old stuff in there. I would have left that stuff. I would have left
Yeah.
it. But I guess for the image of I didn't have enough money to get this, I had to go take the furniture too. I whatever, Erica, whatever you doing, girl, you do it. Hopefully, it helps you out. I live for the drama. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
also, all of that stuff is worth money. So if she takes it and moves it to her house and can prove that they were gifts, bankruptcy court can't take that stuff unless she's named in the bankruptcy court. Which is what, if you read the blogs, which is what she's doing to a lot of her jewelry and stuff, claiming that these are gifts,
yeah,
which they can't necessarily say were bought with money that was stolen or anything. So it's smart on her. Even if the
yeah.
shit's
She's
ugly,
smart.
it's
Yeah, it's
smart.
ugly. Yeah,
It's ugly.
it's
Very
definitely ugly.
ugly. It
Yeah,
reminds me very much of Kyle's first house. That first house was so ugly. The one that Kyle has no, okay, we're getting off subject. I hate Kyle Richards.
we know, we know.
Sorry.
So to finish off this episode, not Sutton. What's that chat? Crystal has a dumpling party, and I was excited. I thought this was the one where she was like, your ugly leather
The
pants,
ugly pants.
but it's not. I'm like, what is
I
this
mean,
fucking event? I'm like, when is the event? So at the event, Sutton and Crystal have a sit down, and I like how Suddenly was just like, she said, what did she say? She said, I think it's very toxic or very bad or something that
defamatory. Defamatory.
hold on, he
It's
said,
defamatory that you
she,
say
no, she
that
said it was
I
dangerous. She said it was dangerous
dangerous.
that you're talking about this. And Crystal was like, yeah, it is dangerous. And then Sudden was like, but girl, you're talking about it because she wasn't being
Look,
forthcoming with it. She was kind of trying to get her to say,
at
but
all.
at the same time, Crystal just like, I don't know I don't know why
I
they're talking about it. They won't stop
I'm
talking
Team
about
Sutton
it.
on this. I'm
And
Team
Sutton is
Sutton on
like,
this.
but you're talking about it. And
To
so she's
anybody
like,
that would listen. To
right.
anybody that will listen.
It's a reach, and as somebody who is Team Sutton, I did say I was done with her, but I can go back and forth. I'm getting tired of you, Crystal. I'm getting tired of you
Look,
because at this point you are really like Sutton is not. I'm not saying she's innocent, but she's not the person that she's trying to make her be. There are
yeah.
much
And I
other
think
crazier people on this cast that can be named as manic, and it's definitely not Sutton. Go ahead.
I think Sutton she kind of nailed it on the head. That Crystal is a mean girl. I don't necessarily think that Crystal's a mean girl. I think Crystal sees Sutton as an easy kind of way, somebody to push buttons on. Like
Of
Sutton's
course.
already kind of annoyed her, already pushed her, because there's no fucking reason why that she's making as big of a deal about this as she should be. And she keeps bringing it up to anybody who will listen. And every single time she tells a story, it gets much more dire and much more hushed tones, like she's embarrassed, like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want anybody to find out. But like, girl, there's only 7 people that were in that house, and you told all 7 people about that. Like that night that Sutton felt left out of a conversation, you called her crazy for overreacting at the dinner table about the joke. You are literally doing what she is afraid was being done. You are
Yeah.
literally talking about her behind her back to her friends. Um, I like that she held her feet to the fire and told Crystal, like, well, okay, you may want it to be over, but you keep talking about it, so let's end it. And when Dorit tried to jump in, Sutton said, I don't understand why you're in this right now.
She said, I don't.
Sit this
She
one
said
out.
she did something. She was like something about like
She said, I don't know
paddling.
why you're I was like, wait, what? I will
She
say that I
did.
like that Lisa Renna really quick jumped up and said, like, Dorit, nah, don't do that. Or was it Garcelle? Garcelle said, Dorit, no, don't, like, this ain't for you.
Yeah.
I like Garcelle's friendship. She allows Sutton to say what she needs to say, but she will jump in and
And she
defend
defends
her
her.
like if
Yeah.
it needs it. I love their friendship. I wouldn't have thought that they would be the two that were friends. And when Garcelle said like Sutton's a lot of things, but like manic and crazy, not all the time.
Yeah. I mean,
So
and
like I like
they
that.
all were on board. They all felt like, using those words because even when she said it, she was like, it's like somebody saying like, like don't diagnose me, like you're not a doctor.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, I get it,
yeah.
we say you crazy, but when you put like when you're like constantly
Clinical
saying like,
terms.
right, like no, don't do
No.
that. And Sudden, was just like they decided they were gonna talk about it. They said, but Sudden was just, and that's so I like how. But Sudden at the same time, I feel like she just kind of needs to. They do the same thing. They get to a point and be like, okay, we done talking about this, and then somebody will bring up this. So like she brought up the manic thing. Instead of just keeping it, they need to just let it go. That's the issue, because they have their issues are not deep, but the issues that they have had happened is to the point to where they will never get to, unless they both say, I'm sorry, let's get over it all. Because there's always
Yeah.
something else. But he's like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. But remember when you said, but and hold on, but I just, how black folks, I just find it kind of funny
Yeah.
that. And that's what is happening with them. So I hope they get past it. They won't, obviously, because there's like more episodes. Next episode, Sun was just like, you don't want to see me angry. And I'm like, at this point, she's done crying. She didn't cry.
Yeah. At all. Good for her.
I'm
Good
glad.
for
She
her.
said, I'm done crying,
Good for
girl.
her.
Now I'm finna let you have it. Or somewhat.
Let the mouse go. Let the mouse go.
Yeah. So that was pretty much all for episode 6. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna talk more about this Erika thing. Deary and Kyle. I hope their stuff. It's not stupid. It's
I
just
don't care.
like it's not entertaining to see. Um, I do want to say that Garcelle is so verbal, and I love it, cause she talks. She was throwing the little digs at what's her name, Erica, and everybody. Just kind of like she's
Yep.
so verbal this season. And although she doesn't have like a true storyline going on right now, she has a lot to say, and that's good. She makes sure that that she's in the room, and it's not
Yeah.
forced. It's just it goes with the conversation. So kudos to you, Garcelle, girl. Because last season I was kind of bored. I was.
I think she was. She was definitely playing it safe last season for sure. This
Yeah.
season, I think, yeah, she's comfortable. She's kind of in
Yeah.
her element. She knows what to expect out of the women.
Right.
So I'm enjoying seeing her little dig, her little commentary after the fact be sent to me because like it's everything we were all thinking about this shit, and she just says it. So I love
Especially
it.
when she said, should she have waited? I
Shouldn't
was
she
just
have waited?
like, girl, that's kind of smart,
Yep.
girl.
And when Erica came in, she goes, I've been divorced before, and after my divorce, I wasn't doing anything. But Erica's here, and she's ready for
Yeah.
anything. I don't know what she's ready for, but she's ready
She
for it.
said that she was like, I don't know what she's ready for, but she's ready for something. I'm like, oh, girl, here she
Good,
go.
because that's what we're thinking. But like Erica walked in talking about putting THC on her clitty and having orgasms and shit like that. I'm like, Erica, what is going on? All we wanted you was to be a little more transparent about your life. I don't need to
Right.
know
We
that you're
not.
fisting yourself with some
Well,
THC oil. I don't need all that.
I'm sure that ain't her first time because I don't know if that old man was doing anything in down there. But that's neither here nor there. So I'm sure that's nothing new. So
I did love that Erica said she wasn't ready to date, but she was down to have a lot of anonymous sex.
well, I mean, she probably been doing that. Do you really think she's been like monogamous with him? Like in terms of like,
Oh no, absolutely. Well, all she hangs out with are gay guys, so I don't know what's going on.
oh wait, child. Well, with that being said, we are going to lean out. That was episode 5 and 6. Make sure if you like this video, like the damn video,
Like
and
the
if you don't like the
videos.
video, like it anyway because you just need to. And subscribe to the channel. You can find myself and Jamie on Instagram at the names below or at the Lean blog. And if you're watching other shows, Drag Race, The Encore on BET, and Married to Medicine, there's also content coming from that. But we're really excited for the Housewives of Potomac, so get ready for that too. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things, and we will see y'all next week for episode. What's next? 7? Yeah, 7. Good
7, I
night.
think. Yeah. Good night.